Did you hear that?
There we go. I love it.
There we go. Well, I went to readjust there and just put my foot in a bag and got my feet all tangled up. But good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Bake Shop. Never a dull moment here. It's Thursday night. The fall weather is moving in. We had a low of 48 last night, or 46. I think it's going to be 48 tonight. I am ready. Those pleasure boaters are beginning to get off of our waters, and the real fishing begins here very soon. So we have Mr. Circle Hook Productions, Mr. Clint. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I was actually wondering, so I was thinking today, this is my first show ever, as in going onto a talk show kind of thing for this whole catfishing business. And I was wondering, if you should be honored or I should be honored that I'm on your show as my first one. Then I saw a meme today. I saw a meme today. It said something about ruin a fishing day or fishing trip in 4 words. And Chris from Hooks and Hammocks said fishing with the Chad. So I think you're the one that should be honored.
Well, I am definitely honored, and I will keep an eye out for that jerk Hooks and Hammocks here in the chat. I don't know. He's starting to become.
No, he was there.
I'll find him here in a second. I'll scroll to the top so I can say hi to some people here, but I have a treat for him when I see his name pop through here. So let's say hi, shall we? We got Mr. Avid Fisherman, always the very first in my chat because I think I'm his hero. Just going to leave that there. We got Catfishing Crappie. What's going on, Mark? Fishing in Freedom, my beautiful wife, Dee, who's in the other room. We got John Patrick Jr., Lance, that Hawaiian guy. He was on Muskrat Tuesday night. Very well done show there. I got to finally see Mr. Hawaiian, who was born and raised in Hawaii, but really doesn't live too far away. Hopefully next year he will maybe meet us in Lake Mendota. There's cool. Mr. Hooks and Hammocks. Oh, I hit the wrong button. I was meaning to come over there and hit that put user in timeout. Let's see who else we got here. We got Laughing Cats Fishing. What's going on, Thomas? Outdoors with Dave. Mike Irvin. Miss Chrissy Brown.
Hey, Chrissy.
I was talking to her husband earlier today, Mr. Ernie Brown. There's some good people. We got Rob from Two Old Vets. Whoa, we just jumped everywhere here. We've got Papaw Ed, LG Bass. Oh, wait a minute. Stop the show. We have Catfish Weekly, and I do not want him, unlike last week, where he claims that I never said hi to him. And I then, during and after the show, got text messages to go back and check the very first minute of the show where I said hi to Lyle. Okay, resume show. We got Mr. Tim Molina. I got lost here. Sean T Outdoors. We got now that this is how I get Ryan Borch to come in. I gotta bring in the celebs like Clint.
Oh, he knows it. He knows it. He's already fanboying there with his next comment.
Oh, what did I miss him say? I missed it. Oh, let's see. I'm not sure if I said hi to Sean T. My chat went all over the place. Here we go.
Sharina. Hey, Sharina. How you doing?
Come on, Ryan. Ryan put out a video just a little while ago. Very nice video. I liked it. I commented. I watched the entire time.
This is what
all the dinks that he catches, and this is what he does to me. I'm going to have to go back down here to the bottom here because I got lost in where I was at. We got Gene Tillman, Michael Williams, James Allball. What's going on, buddy? See you in a minute. Sunfish Assassin. D is screaming from the other room that Tim Molina is in here. Calm down, dear. Calm down. We won't talk about why he chose number 4 on the Weekend Anglers poll picture that he put on Facebook. If you've not checked that out and you're friends with Josh Dunnigan, there is a poll asking who you would rather have as a bodyguard. It was like Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Michael J. White, some guys I don't know, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Rocky. I don't know how Rocky got on this list of karate guys, but and then you had Fishing with the Chad. Most people,
some list.
Yeah. Well, most people was right, and they picked the Chad. But there was a few people that put like a whole list of. I was number 4, so they picked like 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I was not even on their list at all. But that's okay. It's okay. We got Green Machine Outdoors.
Green Machine. What's up, Dan?
Blue Line Adventures. We got Freddy's Outdoors Adventures. We got Silver Fox Fishing. What's going on, Sandy? I'm sure Mr. Van is either in here or driving his big rig home to you. So either way, Van, don't be texting and driving, especially if you're in a freaking rig. We got Sharina keeping it real. What's going on?
Hey, Sharina.
We got a good-looking house tonight. I think I'm caught up here. So we've got, like I said, we've got Mr. Clint here. It is an honor. This is his first show that he has appeared on, and he only had to tell me twice in live streams that he had never been on a show yet. And I was like, you know what? the Chad is going to reach out because Clint is an amazing angler, and he is part of the kayak scene. He's into some of these tournaments with Green Machine Outdoors, Ryan Boards, Kayak Mike, those fellas. And, he's kind of like from what I can tell, a silent assassin. So you've got Ryan talking a good game, Green Machine's talking a good game, Kayak Mike just talks.
He just talks. Yeah.
He's like just across the street here on the Ohio River. He's probably like 20 minutes away from me, but so I know he's struggling waters like I am. So, but he does a heck of a job. But yeah, so Clint his link is in the description. If you have not subbed to him already, go give him a check. He goes live. He puts out some videos, very quality stuff, and I enjoy watching when I can.
Thanks,
seem
man.
to be getting behind half the time anymore.
I'm getting behind putting them out. It's not easy. I mean, I think anybody can agree with that. It's not, you got your day-to-day stuff as well. I got my work going on as well, so it's not always easy to get some content out there, but it happens when it happens.
Yeah, I'm in the same way. With most of us have full-time jobs and families, and what might have been a little bit easier last year to watch other people's videos and live streams has become harder and harder.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, we have more people nowadays than we ever have. So
yeah,
and it just keeps growing, and that's not a bad thing. It's definitely a good thing. We've got different people up in the game and giving us other folks that are maybe started even before them a challenge. So try to maybe raise the bar a little bit.
Yeah.
We got 3+1 Outdoors.
Hey.
What's going on, Larry? Parker Pursuits. That's the chicken guy. If you didn't know. But that is an amazing fisherman. Oh my goodness gracious. Sorry, stop the show for a second. We got 2 showstoppers here tonight. K&B Anglers has graced us with his presence. What's going on, Calvin? So, Clint, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like I said, Clint, you're kind of the silent assassin in the community. I know you chat sometimes, but you're kind of silent, man. You sit
I sit and wait. And like I said, I try to keep a low profile with these sort of things. I mean, obviously I put out my content. I've been in the tournament scene for almost 2 years now. But basically the backstory is I'm South African. Okay. So I'm not even, obviously my accent is not Texan. You can gather that, I'm sure.
I never noticed.
You never noticed, right?
Yeah.
So I was working and living in the Middle East for like the last 7 years, well, prior to moving over here, and I've always been into freshwater fishing. So since I was like a young kid, from I'd say 5 to 6 years old, I picked up bass fishing in South Africa, and that's a funny story in itself. So bass aren't native to South Africa at all. Actually, South Africa doesn't have any predatory fish in the river systems and dams, and there's no natural lakes either. So all of the bigger impoundments are all dammed up rivers and stuff, right? So there was no natural predator to actually control the population of carp and sharp-toothed catfish, for example, and other minnow type of fish and those sort of things. So in the 50s, I think it was the 50s, someone from the US brought over some fingerling bass in a Coke can, literally in a Coke can. They flew it over from America, and I think they had like a little hand pump thing where they aerated the can.
Really?
There must have been 2 or 3 fingerlings in that can, right? And today South Africa is one of, maybe with Japan, obviously the US, and I think Mexico as well, probably one of the prime bass fishing hotspots globally for largemouth bass. So I
didn't know that.
Yeah, so I grew up watching ESPN every Saturday morning. There was the Jimmy Houston show, all that kind of stuff on ESPN. So that was my obsession. I grew up watching that kind of stuff and got into bass fishing that way. And then, life went on. I sort of stopped fishing along the way, got into, too much into work. And then I got into like ultra endurance sports, running, cycling, doing extreme runs and stuff with backpacks through a desert, 1 week self-supported kind of stuff, crazy nonsense that I won't ever do again. It's stupid.
I'm out of breath just thinking about it.
Just thinking about it. Me too, dude. And then, like I said, moved to the Middle East where there's almost no fresh water at all. So fishing sort of came to a standstill completely. We ended up living on like a beach resort in Bahrain at the end of the day. And I bought like a little ultralight setup, sort of bass rod and whatever, and fished for, I think it's black sea bream, was the fish that I was able to catch there on shrimp and stuff. And then it's a flathead. It's not a catfish, but it's a flathead fish, which is quite popular in Australia. So I follow a guy called Willem Powerfish. He's a Australian comedian. He does a lot for men's mental health and stuff like that. And he does a lot of fundraising for that. And his main thing is catching these fish. So when you see Kayak Mike and myself saying, "Get the dog," they call that fish a dog, right? So it's sort of a little side joke that we have. But he puts out good content as well. It's maybe not very family friendly in terms of swearing and stuff, but he does it for a good cause. So, I got into that. I got into catching those kind of fish. And then coming over here, that was, we moved over here in end of 2019. It was actually on Thanksgiving Day. We arrived in the US. And the very next day, I took my kids and wife to Bass Pro here in Houston. So just west of Houston, actually. And the hotel that I booked for us to stay in for the 2 weeks prior to getting a house and stuff, I booked the hotel because it was right next to the mall that had the Bass Pro. So I was like, okay, everyone in the car, we're going over to the mall, back, over to Bass Pro, bought all the stuff. And like I said, that was still to do bass fishing. I had no idea about catfish at all. I didn't know what a blue catfish was. I had no idea about a channel cat, the flathead. I had zero idea about that at the end of 2019. Then what happened is I caught one on a swim bait here in one of my local little community lake kind of things.
Yeah.
And it actually, so when I was trying to unhook it, I didn't have a set of pliers with me. With bass fishing, you can just unhook your lure, and I mean, it's easy, right?
Right.
With this channel cat, it was like embedded in the mouth badly. So I, just try to do what I wanted to do, and then it started rolling on the grass, and it drilled that hook barb straight through my finger, and it came out the other side basically. No, it didn't come out the other side. I could feel the tip of the hook pushing through the other side of the finger. And ever since then, it was like, I want revenge on this fish, right? Like all catfish must sort of die kind of thing. So I got into that. I got into using stink bait, hot dogs, all the normal way that anybody that lives here their whole life would start off catfishing initially.
Yeah.
So I started off with that. And then I got a bit competitive on an app called FishBrain. I think most people are aware of FishBrain and what that is.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So I actually ended up being... Yeah. Go ahead, Chad.
No, I was going to say, I've heard of it. I downloaded it. I never opened it, and I deleted it.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was pretty involved with that. And, this little lake where I caught that first channel cat became my sort of honey hole kind of thing. And I was there every single day, sitting on a little deck chair kind of thing for 10, 12 hours trying to catch these things. And I ended up being like the top angler in the US for channel cats on the app for, I think it was 4 months in a row. So it was February, March, April, May of 2020. I was the top angler in the US for that, right? And that gave me, I don't want to say it gave me a big head, but I became a little bit sort of arrogant with that. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to make a YouTube channel and call it Circle Hook Productions because I catch fish with circle hooks. It's lame, I know. Like
I like the name.
People wonder where the name comes from, and that's sort of where it comes from, because I didn't know that people do this kind of stuff, right? And then I was like, okay, I want to get involved in tournaments that are more serious. Like, I don't want to just be on Fish Brain and have, my name up there, sort of, okay, you were the best on Fish Brain kind of thing. It doesn't mean anything, right? So I started Googling this stuff, and then I came across Kayak Catfish with Justin Johnson, and I saw him taking part in those kayak catfishing tournaments at that time. And I'm like, man, I got to do this. Like, it just watching someone catch monster giant catfish from a kayak was like the best thing ever. I was just hooked from that moment that I watched those videos. I was hooked. And then I started getting into it. I bought my first kayak. It was a Perception sort of pedal drive kayak, the cheapest pedal drive that they had on the market at the time. Kitted that out for kayak catfishing, and then got into the tournament stuff. And it was only after that I started knowing people, right? I mean, you all have channels and stuff way before that. Maybe not in 2019. Maybe some had, but
yeah.
It only came a lot later that I started realizing that it's a much bigger scene than what people realize, especially for people from outside coming in.
Yeah, definitely. The end of 2019. There was some channels out there, obviously, and it had started. The catfishing community had started growing. Catfish Dave and Chris Souders, Catfish Weekly. There was some other folks out there that it was just getting started, and then the first part of 2020, it just exploded, and it's been going all. It to where now you probably have. I have probably 400, 500, 600 subscriptions, and I still ain't touched, everybody that I could be sub to because I haven't found them yet. I'm still like right now. I just seen some people in here, and I'll say hi to some people. But Brian B. Catfishing, just found him. The last couple months, we got one that I am not familiar with. 252 Outdoorsman's in here. That's a new one to probably me and a lot of other folks. K&B, he's been around for a while, and he was well before I started. I was just a fanboy on Catfish Weekly and Chris Souders, watching them guys fish live and do the Monday night show, and I decided one day to end up doing it. I was watching, Palmetto had started his show, and Norm was doing his show, and we were all watching those guys. Then Patriot was already doing his. Roger started doing his on Tuesday, and I was like, I don't know that I can do this. And Kevin was like, why not? People,
so weren't you one of the first that started sort of the live fishing kind of thing? Because I think you had the 1v1 or the couples catfishing kind of thing, right?
Yeah, the tournament, the live online tournament. I did the first one in October of last year, which was the couple showdown. So, I mean, people give me credit for it, but there's so many freaking awesome ideas coming out of it, and in a way, I'm jealous because they're like so many great ideas, but I don't have time for it. So why be selfish and see like throw a tantrum?
But that's the thing. Right? But that's the thing. It sort of snowballs. So when someone comes up with an idea and it works well, somebody else will sort of grow that and build upon that. I mean, look at Dan with Green Machine did that tournament the other day. Something totally unique. Then Kevin obviously has done so many different things as well, which I've been part of some of them. So for example, the Whisker Derby came second in the Iron Cat for the kayaks against Dan at the end of the day there. And then just everybody is putting something out there which is a little bit different and unique every time. It's amazing.
Yeah, and that's what I think, because we have the tournaments. Their basic rules are kind of been I guess you could say established, but they're not the full. This has got to be the rules, right?
Right.
And there's different things coming out of this, like the 1v1 that Mark from Catfish's Crappie's done. He's like, make your own rules, just don't be total whatevers. And he gets the final approval, and he says, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And then you've got Kevin and his different kinds of iron cats. You've got the kids tournaments that 3+1, and Roger did. You got some of the guys up on the Potomac, like Haz and those guys, putting on some different stuff.
Right.
And then you're starting to see exactly what you just said. Green Machine puts out a tournament with all kinds of different ways to win it. And then all of a sudden now we got the Weekend Angler comes out with Tacticats. That I'm gonna put my name out there in it, me and D, but I'm worried because I'm a dink master like Brian B. Dinkins, aka Uncle Daddy Cuz.
Uncle
I know
Daddy
he's
Cuz.
watching. I know he's watching. He's going to call him, "What's my name?" But that'll be the first time that the first fish I catch will be a PB, and I won't be able to catch anything bigger after that. So I already know how this is going to go down. So
yeah, no. The other good thing with these things coming up is like, and again, I raised Dan's as an example, right? So his, he had the sort of lucky draw for competitors. So my name was in the hat. Yeah. Ryan was there. Mike wasn't there, but some relatively unknown channels were in the hat, and they were the ones that by good chance got chosen at the end of the day to take part. And that's a great thing because it gives exposure to people that might not necessarily have taken that step to get their channel going that way. A lot of the people that took part there, for example, it was their first live stream. And I know how hard it was to go live for the first time. It's not easy. You got to push that record button and just go for it. And you've been doing it for ages now, and it's sort of second nature. But doing it for that first time, it's not easy. Yeah.
The first go around with the couple showdown was very nerve wracking, and then to start it off with a 4-day tournament, it was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one was the Winter Blues, and I just watched people like Mo Creek and Parker Pursuits go out there in sub-zero temperatures and freeze to death, and I just got to sit here and be warm, and I was like totally comfortable,
Yeah.
I did feel bad though that my buddy Poor Two Stands messed his phone up and then slipped and hurt his ribs and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
hopefully he knows I still love him. He's a good guy. We got Mr. Fishing with the Squirrel. What's going on, Mr.?
Hey, Squirrel.
See Mr. Michael Murillo in here earlier. I don't think I've missed anybody else. It's got Skin and Scales. Oh yeah, we got Mr. Keith Smart. But anyhow, I hope you're feeling better on the upward swing at least. I'm sorry. Hold on one second. Did I see 252's comment? She knows I'm so good at reading comments. Did you see 252's comments? Skin and Scales fishing. Oh, is that what the one you're talking about? To Skin and Scales? Okay. My executive producer's in the other room yelling at me, guys and gals. I'm sorry. Skin and Scales Fishing sent me and said, you all are good people to check out. Cool. Well, thanks to Skin and Scales and welcome 252. We try to be fairly good people. I mean, I should warn you that this technically is not an educational show. We will get, every once in a while we throw out some, some ideas and stuff like that. But this is the bait shop, and we do highlight BNS because it is literally just a BS session for an hour of, friends of old, friends of new, and every once in a while we go on totally random thoughts and start tangents and timing people out and making fun of them. We do like to have fun here. Like I said, and I've already tightened out Hooks and Hammocks, and I haven't seen him since. So he's probably pouting to Telly and crying and all that good stuff. But I do. We're almost halfway through the show, so I want to stop real quick and say hello to Lyle Stokes one more time. You are the man, a legend. Love you dearly. But I love Cindy more because she can make the cinnamon rolls. But anyway, so back to Clint. Yes, sorry, I have a we miss Dockery statement. I did put the angry fishing logo up there on the right. He is with me in spirit tonight, so do hope Mr. Dockery's doing well. I did say hi to him earlier today, so we'll see. One of these days. You've never made fun of me. Let's
Well, there's always a first.
So this is a total and utter lie. He threw a tantrum in the middle of the couple showdown, and I have made fun of him so bad ever since that he disappeared from YouTube for like 6 months. So apologies, Clint. We'll get back on track, I promise. So you are from, you said Texas. Now,
well, yeah, living in Texas.
I mean, yeah, you're living in Texas, fishing in Texas now. Yeah, you're definitely Americanified. I don't know if that's a word. I mean, you fly in 2019. Your first trip, or your first real full day, is to the Bass Pro Shop, and
you don't get more American than that.
and you're living in Texas. You don't get any more American than that. No, you don't. I mean, come on. Started out more bass fishing in the U.S. and then caught some catfish on your
and some swim baits and
then
it obviously moved over to catfish bait kind of thing, and then learning about circle hooks. So it was initially treble hooks and stuff like that, because again that's how I would have caught catfish in South Africa. So the African sharp-tooth catfish we would use normally like chicken livers. There's another South African guy. Maybe you've seen his channel. It's Pete's Whiskers. Pete.
Yeah, right. I watch Pete every once in a while when he goes live.
So he's got a great show as well. He's got a great live stream going on. Now that summer, it's going to be summer again. It's going into the springtime now in South Africa, so he'll start getting active again, I'm sure. But yeah, so back there we use like baby chickens. So you go to sort of the hatchery or the chicken farm, and then all the little baby chicks that didn't make it, kind of thing. You could just go there and they'd give them to you, right? They're just going to dispose of them anyway. But that's the most amazing catfish bait. And then that African sharp-tooth catfish is almost like a wels. It's got that longer body shape.
Okay.
It doesn't grow as big as a wels. It gets, I don't want to lie, maybe it probably gets to about 80 pounds maximum kind of thing.
Still a good fish.
But a bigger, wider mouth. It literally, I mean, those things can take down a duck. Like a full-size duck, they'll, a really big one will swallow a duck whole off the top of the water. So a lot more aggressive too. It's more it's more aggressive than a blue.
Well, two things. One, I was going to say we got to be careful on the the chicken talk and where these baits come from, because I can already see that Parker had a tear in his eye thinking about baby chickens is where his bait comes from. But then you got me thinking.
My PB is all on chicken. So my three biggest blue cats are all on chicken. Like it is what it is.
Okay, folks, and that's the show for today. I'm just kidding. Sorry, I had to. Lyle and them are like dying laughing right now because of that. But most of us have used chicken at some point in time.
People can. Okay, so what I will say, I don't put flavor on it. So the first time I ever put flavor on it was last weekend, and it didn't work. If you just put it on the hook like that, straight from Walmart or from wherever, it works better. But I'm just gonna leave it there. You're gonna kick me off the show again.
I won't do that to you. Hey, Alan Piershala, what's going on, buddy? I haven't seen you in a minute too. That's Chad's favorite. No, see. Oh, I lost it. Hold on. That's Chad's favorite bait, no matter what he says. I am still having issues talking to Larry after what he did to me in the 1v1, making me use that kind of bait. But, you're right. Like you was talking about earlier, like chicken liver and stuff like that. 25, 30 years ago when I really first started getting into catfish.
That was it, right? That was what you did.
You threw chicken liver, or
me
and my buddy, we used to try all kinds of stuff: chicken liver, beef liver, pieces of chicken, and we'd try all kinds of stuff. But you really got me thinking right now, Clint, that every time I see a duck swimming across the Ohio River, I'm always thinking, if I had a hook in that duck,
what kind of a fish are you going to catch?
What kind of fish is going to come up and get that bad boy?
Yep. Well,
you never know.
I'm sure you've seen those Wells catfish in Europe, right? Those things are insane. They get to like 200 plus pounds, even 300 pounds. Those things are insane.
There's two catfish that I would love to travel to fish for. One is the Wells, and the other is the red-tailed catfish down in South America.
South America, right?
I used to.
I've seen some
videos.
There's some YouTube videos of here in Houston where they've caught those red tails out of the bayou, and a lot of that has happened here where people have had pets, kind of thing. So maybe a red-tailed catfish is a pet, and they flushed it out or got rid of it into the local streams and stuff. And that all of that washes down from where I am and different suburbs of Houston into the Buffalo Bayou, and that's where I fish a lot. I spend a lot of time there. So you get red tails in there. I've not seen one, but I've seen YouTube videos showing that and people actually catching them. And then the Plecostomus, so that's that sucker sort of thing that you have in your aquarium.
Yeah, those things algae eaters.
Algae eaters. They've completely invaded like all of the rivers and bayous here. So and what they do is they undercut the bank. So they make their nest under the bank, and then the bank starts collapsing because they've dug out all of the sand and mud and stuff from the bank, right? So I mean, it's a bad fish.
More reason not to be a bank fisherman. Algae eaters. Remember that. Remember, you heard that here.
That's the reason why.
Shop. There's your education of the night. But now I've heard, I think it's down in Florida, they've actually introduced the red-tailed catfish in a certain area. So I just assume, just like what we were talking about, the Asian carp problem that we have, before long that'll end up being in some of the other bigger rivers. But I don't know how those would hold up being in South American type fish to colder weather. So I would venture
probably
to
not
say more south.
Yeah, and that's why here, at least southern Texas, Houston kind of area, they do well, and then obviously Florida as well. I mean, we got a big tilapia problem as well. I love them because they're great catfish bait, so I use tilapia a lot. And for some reason, catfish get more aggressive with tilapia. It's almost like they hate the tilapia breed of fish, or the type of fish they are. So the type of strikes and takedowns I get on tilapia is just way more intense than on a bluegill or a piece of shad or whatever. It's crazy. I don't know why. It's just for some reason they get charged up when they see a tilapia. And then obviously flatheads as well. Flatheads love a live tilapia.
See, we don't have stuff like that up here because
it's tropical. It's tropical, yeah.
Yeah, like even like oh my goodness, perch and stuff like that. We don't really have that around here. We have white bass and crappie and all that kind of stuff, but we don't have. I'd love to go perch fishing. I have not yet got to do that.
You say perch, and that's something that's sort of confused me, and I guess it's countrywide, where people call everything a perch, but that's especially the case here in Texas. So a white bass, a bluegill, whatever that's not a largemouth bass or a catfish ends up being a perch. I'm like, dude, it's got a name. Like you can see what it is. It's not a perch.
Well, that's just like, people talking about brim all the time. To me, everything growing up was a bluegill. It didn't matter if it was a green sunfish or red-eared sunfish, all that. It was a bluegill. And now I've joined this community, right? And everybody's like brim, and I'm like, what are you talking about, brim? Like the brim of my hat? I mean, and then they all want to call it that, but they give me such grief about a flathead being called a shovelhead.
Right.
But now somebody like the precious Creole catfishing can call it a yellow cat. Whatever.
And so the first time I heard of flatheads was yellowcat here in Texas as well. So
is that what they call it in there?
Some of the people. I mean, most people will say a flathead and even give the scientific name if they're really deeply into it. But yeah,
Ain't that
you
smart,
know, the first time I went on the Colorado River, which is probably an hour west of me, so I went out
Mhm.
there, took the kayak out, and I was just asking the guy. I mean, I was still very fresh at this whole thing. I just got my new kayak, the first one that I had, pushing it down the boat ramp, and the guy was coming out of the boat. I'm like, so what can I catch here? And he's like, yellow cats. I'm like, what the hell's a yellow cat? Like, come on, like, and he's like, no, it's a yellow cat. I'm like, okay. And then, I had to Google it, and okay, cool, flathead. So that was pretty cool. But now the ramp that I used to go to over there, that got shut down for complete construction. They took the whole bridge down. So
Oh,
my
wow.
only single launch that I had available on the Colorado River is now gone. And the way that Texas construction happens, it could be another 18 months to 2 years before they actually complete that. So we'll have to see how that
Wow.
goes.
Yeah, it can be really confusing to new people that kind of come into these places and or these different channels and stuff now because growing up to me, like if somebody would have said yellow, I would have thought yellow belly, which is a bullhead, right?
Bullhead.
Yeah, that's what that would have been mine when somebody starts talking about a yellow cat. I'd think, oh, they mean a yellow belly, But
Yep.
who am I? I'm not that smart, Clint. I'm just a little hillbilly from northern Kentucky, Hey, Jason Lamb, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, Jason.
Sure, I didn't miss. Oh yeah. Twisted Fishing TV, what's going on? Says brim or bream, LOL. Which is it? Flatheads are called shovelheads by most people. I am not a pay laker.
Get that off the screen.
No,
Yeah, but
honestly,
and then
yeah.
and then mudcat as well. So mudcat, I've heard people call. So for me, a bullhead can be a mudcat, right? That's primarily what I believe it is. And then some people that I've met have called a flathead a mudcat as well. Strangely enough.
Yeah, I don't hear that too often, but yeah, I always forget people. Some people do call them mudcats, and I know what Twisted was just saying there, and I've had that conversation with other people. Twisted that probably is where that came from, but in this area, the tri-state area between Indiana, Cincinnati, and northern Kentucky here, that's all I had ever heard was a shovelhead growing up, and it could be because Ohio has so many pay lakes over there. We have a lot in Kentucky too, so it could very well be where that term came from. And now I'm new to golfing. Freddie, I'll message you later, mister. Let's see. Parker says his grandpa used to call flatheads willow cats. I had never heard that one. But if he's related to Parker, I mean, he's probably 10 times a nicer guy than Parker, but it would explain some things if he's related to Parker, just saying. Yeah. No offense, Parker. I love you, buddy. Hey, we got Justin's Fishing Fetish, who right after the show on Panfish Nation, Gabby and Gabby's dad will be the guest tonight on Panfish Nation. So make sure you guys go over and check them out. All I know, yeah, there we go. All I know is flatheads love bullheads. I've heard that. I've never really used bullheads for bait. My buddy does, but I don't.
That's something I need to do. So I mean, I have good access to bullheads. So my little local pond where I started off my catfishing adventure is like fully stocked with bullheads as well. I've caught tons of them. Actually, I caught something very close to the Texas state record. It was a 16-inch yellow bullhead, which is pretty much a giant. It's a big fish. And I didn't realize that. I sort of held it up, took a photo, and then let it go as I normally do. And then after just doing a little bit of extra looking around and digging, I realized that I was a half inch away from the state record yellow bullhead in that little pond.
Half inch
from the state record. So it's likely one of the biggest bullheads caught in Texas. Stretch it out a bit.
Stretch it out just a half an inch.
So what I want to do is I want to sort of make a bait tank sort of set up at home, get a big old freezer, get that set up with aeration and bubblers and that sort of thing, and then get some bullheads going in there, and then put them to the test down in the bayou and do some proper flathead fishing.
That I cannot wait to see.
I mean, all my flatheads so far, maybe except for one smaller one, was all on cut bait. So I've only caught that little one on a live bait. All the rest was all on cut shad or cut bluegill. Bluegill head's typically my best bait for that. But yeah, a live bullhead, man, I want to do that still.
Yeah, that used to that we've fished with the live baits and stuff for flathead, but I've always had better luck with like bluegill head and stuff like that than I have anything for flathead.
Yeah.
Okay, now hold on. I got Twisted's getting on me tonight. So again, the spoonbill catfish, which is not a catfish, only took me over 30 years to know that was not a catfish. For the life of me, and I had never caught one. And they're all over the Ohio River here, but I had never caught one until 2 years ago, and now I've caught a few. Just drifting baits and stuff. They'll swim with their mouth open and just luckily get snagged in the mouth or whatever. And but yeah, I'd always heard that the term spoonbill catfish around here, and found out later on in life that they're not a catfish. They kind of look like one a little bit, except for the long spoon, but body wise, they look like a catfish. But so I just believed it. I guess it was kind of like believing what you hear. It's almost like believing everything you see on the internet, right?
Those are good eating, right? So, I mean, most of them that I've seen caught, people catch them to sort of harvest them and cook them up. So they must be pretty good eating.
I've not heard good about the eating them, but the eggs is what most people snag them for.
Oh, okay.
Spoonbill snagging. They call it poor man's caviar. The eggs are very expensive. If you look it up online to buy it, they sell them in little cans, and they're pretty expensive to buy. But okay. I had to highlight this. This is one of the greatest messages. Chad uses chicken and put the smack down on Larry. 3+1. You remember that one, Larry, when you made up the rules and you traveled all the way to the Tennessee River for a 0.9 pound fish that lost you to the you lost to the Chad. That's all I got to say. And then Brian B. Dinkins, aka Uncle Daddy Cuz, took it to me later on. Yeah, Twisted says they are iffy on the eating, but they are a caviar fish. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I saw people sort of harvesting them, kind of thing, but I had no idea it was for the eggs. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Now, see, like I've seen some pictures of some decent sized ones here, but you guys have some monstrous spoonbill out that way. I've seen 100 and well over 100-pound.
Out in Texas.
If I'm not mistaken, they have them out in like Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri. Those regions are the bigger ones.
Yeah, I was going to say northern Texas, so maybe like Tawakoni and then Red River kind of thing, like way up north, kind of probably. Our big fish down here is the alligator gar. So that's my second favorite thing to do on the kayak is catch those monster gar. Last night, really? I sort of went for an unplanned trip last night, which I caught a couple of surprise fish there. I'm hoping to put a video out if the content of the video is not too trash. I might still put a video together. But I had camera issues and stuff like that. But yeah, last night was insane with the gar bite. Like literally my wrists were aching from having to pick up that rod out of the holder and try and fight those fish. But I'd fight them for like maybe 10 seconds max, and then they would throw the hook, spit the bait out. Yep. So it got a bit frustrating eventually, but then I finally managed to hook one. It was about a 5-footer, maybe a little bit less than that, maybe 4.5 feet.
That's pretty.
It was a good fish.
I mean, size, yeah. We have the long nose gar here. I know, talking to Lyle and Dockery in the past, that down there around Missouri and on the Mississippi River, they used to have them, but they're talking about reintroducing them back up that way to try to combat the Asian carp. So I think I enjoy watching those videos too, because when you got a 6, 7, 8 foot freaking 200-300 pound alligator gar, that's an intense fight right there. Because
No, a buddy of mine. So one of my good friends, his name's Alex. He's got a channel called Bayou Beasts. So he's not really
Okay.
done much with his channel. So I thought I'd just promote it a little bit here. So he's big into the giant gar fishing here in the Houston area, and he's caught an 8-footer where he was like, I mean, he's sort of, I guess he's 6 foot. He's about maybe an inch or so shorter than me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was laying next to it after he'd hooked it up and caught it and put it up on the bank, and that thing was easily a foot and a half, maybe even 2 feet taller, longer than him. And then the girth on that thing, the width, man, it was like, and he's not a small guy, but that fish was bigger than a fully grown tall adult male. It's crazy, easily 250 pounds, immense fish.
Oh. What's up, Big Mike? John Boys.
Hey, Big Mike.
I lost what I was doing here. Yeah, the DNR put alligator gar in the Illinois River because of the Asian carp.
Mm.
Red River runs through Louisiana. I know that Louisiana has it. I've heard Creole talk about that one before.
Yeah.
But compared to the long nose gar, those alligator gar are just monsters.
No, they're monsters, and they get very girthy as well compared to the long nose or the spotted.
Oh yeah,
very girthy fish.
Yeah, the biggest probably that I've seen long nose here is probably about 4 foot. Maybe they might have been a little bit bigger than that, but like you said, that's a bit a big round fish. Alligator gar about as big around as Chris Lee from Hooks and Hammocks head. That's pretty big. So let's see. We've got about 13 minutes left, so I do want to say one more time hello to Lyle Stokes from Catfish Weekly. Just make sure that he heard me. If you heard me, Lyle, please say in chat that you heard me, buddy. I don't want you thinking that I have forgotten about you in any way, shape, or form. Because your son, your favorite son, still cares. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. So do you want to give a little plug out to Kayak Mike and the kayak tournament stuff trail that you're doing now, or?
Yeah. So I got on board with that. It's probably about a year ago, maybe a bit less than a year, where we sort of really started getting kayak catfishing tournaments, KCT, going as sort of the national de facto kayak catfishing scene kind of thing. So Mike has been great with that. He puts so much effort and work into making sure that we have a tournament series that really is something to be proud of. So I've done a lot of work actually with Mike, sort of behind the scenes as well, together with Dan from Green Machine, Ryan Bortz as well. And we like to see it as sort of a group effort to make sure that we're providing a platform for kayak anglers to really put their skills up against each other. Has joined quite recently, and he's been doing great in the kayak scene as well. So we expect and hope to see more and more people that at least have kayaks join the scene, and then maybe get people interested in maybe buying their first kayak and getting into kayak catfishing as well. We've introduced the bank series as well, the bank tournament series to KCT, which is a nice addition. So those that don't want to get a kayak, at least you can join an online tournament series, which is obviously similar to what we do on the kayak, right? You got the measuring board and you measure out your fish and you submit it that way. But the kayak scene is just growing more and more. I see that happening. So many people that follow and watch Kayak Catfish's videos. I mean, he's got 120,000 subscribers now, something crazy like that.
Now, yeah.
And so many people live vicariously through his videos, and live their life imagining that they were catching catfish from a kayak that way. So if only 10%, if only 1% took that step and actually got a kayak and went and did it, that would be 1,000 people, right? So
right.
There's so much potential out there for the sport to grow. And it's not only for kayak catfishing, it's for catfishing in general. And my opinion of the way that we do it, it's a safer way for the fish as well. We're measuring the fish very quickly, get that photo done, and then the fish is gone and swimming off happily and healthy, right? We're not, we try not to keep it out the water too long. And I'm not saying anything bad against the boat tournaments and those sort of things, but
Better
the way
not.
we do it, I think is just a better way for the fish at the end of the day. And if we can do anything that contributes that way to the sport as a whole, then that's great for everybody, I guess.
No, I totally agree, and I went heavy on the actual catfishing tournaments last year, and I've backed off a lot this year, and part of it's work and all that kind of stuff we talked about earlier, but the other is that, right? It's catching a 30, 40, 50 pound fish and holding it in a 60 gallon, 70 gallon tote for 7-8 hours, because that's exactly, I've had it happen before, and trying to keep them alive, it is a lot of stress. And the more I've thought about it, it's like, did that fish actually live after? It was alive when I got it to the weigh-in, but it sat there for 6 or 7 hours, and did it actually live? So
no,
it may or may not have
but right. But the way it could grow as well with the measurement side of things, with the length, and with StreamYard, for example, people could actually live stream from their boats or from wherever they are to a central, a spectator area, for example, with a big screen. And the way that bass fishing is, with all the hype and crowds and stuff like that, catfishing could go the same way, and rather use the technology to bring those images to the people, let people see it as it's happening, getting the fish measured. And the whole the whole glory of it is still kept intact. I mean, obviously people want to see people holding giant catfish at the weigh-ins, but yeah, there's potentially other ways to do it, right? You can use the technology to make that happen as well.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that can be looked into, and I think a part that I've enjoyed is being able to see that, right? You're there, when you have a tournament, that's held on a river or a lake or whatever, all the anglers scatter. You never hear or see from them for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours.
Right.
At least this way, you're with them. You get to see it. If you're watching people like Hooks and Hammocks, you're going to watch them skunk all day long. If you're watching people like Brian B. Dinkins, aka Uncle Daddy Cuz, you're going to watch him catch fish this big left and right. But you're going to see him catch a lot of fish, and then people like myself, who catches nothing but monsters, you might have to sit and wait for a while. But I'm joking, of course. I mean, I've never caught a monster in my life. Who are we kidding? But it's still, you get to see them, you get to see what different things that they're doing, and you get to see the interaction and stuff. Then I can keep an eye on people like Hooks and Hammocks, that they're not, going 20 miles downstream into a creek and pulling fish out of a basket like Brian B. Dinkins, I think, did when he beat me in the 1v1. It just adds a different element, and people actually get to enjoy that part of the actual fishing. So,
right.
And there's always that camaraderie too. We talked about it earlier, just like I'm busting Chris's chops right now, but I've made a good friend in Chris, and he called me earlier, and I called him some names, and I didn't know it was actually Telly calling me, but it is what it is. She knows how we are, right? And a lot of the community is like that. We bust each other's chops quite a bit, so
yeah,
a lot of fun. It adds a different level of fun to it, I think. So what else you got here, Mr. Clint? What's your future for Circle Hook Productions?
So my channel is more for myself, kind of thing, right? So yes, I love getting subscribers. It is the aim of YouTube, right? Oh, there we go. 6 minutes to go. No, so my channel is something I do because I enjoy. Firstly, I obviously enjoy fishing, and I enjoy putting that sort of adventure aspect to film reel kind of thing. I enjoy the editing process. Yeah, people think I'm crazy, but editing is one of my favorite things to do, and I sort of hope that it shows in the content that I put out. That I enjoy finding music to go with the video and those sort of things. Even if I don't have really good fishing content for the day, how to make a story out of it, which maybe wasn't there. So maybe I'll leave it sort of on the computer for a couple of days, sleep over it, and then sort of figure out how I'm going to tie certain things in to make a video, right? But yeah, and then at the end of the day, like I said, again, this is my first sort of joining up on a live show like this, so I'm not, I don't want to say that I'm really not going out there to get subscribers, but I prefer getting subscribers that want to watch what I put out. I'm not begging for anybody to subscribe to my channel. If you subscribe to me, I consider it that you honestly and genuinely want to watch what I put out, and that's what I appreciate the most, right? It's even if it takes me another 2 years to get to 1,000 subscribers, so be it. But I know that every single person that has subscribed is doing it because they want to, not because I sort of put it out there that, please subscribe to my channel. And if you do that, that's fine. I mean, I've got no beef against anybody that does it that way. I just like to know that whoever's there is there because they want to be there.
Yeah. Well, you can say thank you to the Chad for having you on the show, and you are now at 999 subscribers.
I need to get every single one of your subscribers to make that happen.
You would have to get every one of mine, and plus about 500 more, right? I ain't nowhere near that. So, as we finish up here real quick, I seen this, and obviously we were talking too earlier about my laptop and the grainy photo that it's given off on mine, and how clean and crisp and clear, and how great you sound, and blah blah blah, Clint. But what kind of cameras and lenses and stuff, equipment are you using?
So right now I've got a Sony Alpha 6000. So that, like I told you earlier before we joined the stream, that sort of became my webcam camera for work. I had it lying around, and I just wasn't using it for photography anymore, so I put that up there as a webcam. And that runs through it's called a cam link. So basically it takes the HDMI output from the camera to USB 3.0 to the PC. So it makes it a simple solution. And then I do actually have my other cameras here. So for the kayak stuff, I use this is an XTU action cam. And then to get the sound good, I put little dead cat fluffy things on top of the camera, right? So this one, I got two of them. So one will be out in the front of the kayak for the front view, and then the other one on the chest. So normally you see the guy's wearing a chest cam like that. So the audio is normally from this camera, so it's right here by the mouth. The only bad thing with that is heavy breathing kind of thing. So you get that sometimes. But I'm working on a few other things, especially for StreamYard. I want to try and find a better way to do audio there. So what I'm going to do, I have something coming up pretty soon where I'll make a video on how to make better audio in StreamYard for us that do that, from the kayak or from the boat or from the bank. So that's coming up. I got some rods and reels here actually of what I use. So if people are interested, oops. So I use a Catfish Sumo chopstick, Master Series 2.0. And I don't, maybe I'm the first that got into the whole low profile thing for catfishing. But from the kayak, it makes a lot of sense because you don't need a lot of line. So, you're suspending, or you may be throwing out to drag behind you. So I like to use the low profile reels. This is the Pisky Fun Alijos. And then I like to use the Gomex's power handles on all my reels as well. That makes a big difference.
Nice. It's a good looking combo.
And then my favorite combo is this one here. Let's make sure that doesn't fall. Is my Big Cat Fever rods. I still use the original Big Cat Fever rod. It's my favorite rod. I just love the way it bends over. Mm-hmm. It gives a good fight on even smaller fish. And then the Cast King Capstan 300. So I think I might be wrong, but this has the highest drag of any reel that you can get right now, especially in the low profile. So this has 35 pounds of drag, which is beyond any of the Abus, any of the Shimano's that you get. It's definitely the highest there. And then nice. Again, the Gomexus. This one has a clicker. The other one doesn't. But I've used the clicker maybe once when I've used this on the bank. On the kayak, it's not necessary.
Yeah, we bought bumping rods, and we bought some, what are they? Oh, they're Akuma low profiles. And yeah,
I've seen those. Those are pretty cool.
I can handle this. Yeah, so we bought his and hers. Hers is a little bit smaller because she's got dainty hands and all that kind of stuff. But the one that I bought that I really, really like, and a buddy of mine that I've met through here and for the life of me, we still haven't met up yet, but Jamie B. Fish, and he just put out a real review on it. It's the Abu Garcia Max Toro.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very, very nice low profile, and that thing is a winch. And it's not. I wouldn't put it on the expensive side as these Akumas that we bought. If I had to do it, I'd have 3 of these Abus versus because the Akumas were like twice and 3 times as much as the Abus. So
that's a bit of a problem I have.
One.
Is a bit of I wouldn't say it's a problem, but it almost becomes a hobby. Is I like to buy things that are maybe not well known, and then sort of make them become sort of mainstream for what I use it for.
Yeah.
The problem with that is I tend to maybe buy 3 different items before reaching the one that actually works well for me, and I could have just spent the money on the very best product from Shimano, Abu, or the best camera, or whatever it was at the end of the day. But I see it as like a hobby of toying with things, playing with things, and figuring out what really works for me, and then sticking to what I eventually stick on. So I end up with like 4 different products, which I end up scrapping, and then I get my thing that I use at the end of the day, which is what it is.
I guess I'm gonna have to get back to my phone so I don't notice how bad
you're freezing all over the place.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, this laptop that I got, because of the weather, I ended up going to the laptop tonight. I'm going to be getting a new camera for it. Another reason why I've been using my phone a lot more for my Thursday night shows, but we'll figure it out. Sometimes it's way better off not seeing my face and just hearing my voice. So we'll leave it at that. Real quick, because we're at 9:01. The couple showdown is here in a few weeks. If people are interested in that, there are still some open spots. So go to my Facebook group and see what's available and get on that. I'd like to fill in a few more of those spots. We will be doing that one for charity again this year. So, and I have had a few donations, and I meant to do that this week, but we will be auctioning off Abu Garcia 5000 model reel, brand new in leather case, oil, and all the trimmings that are in it from like 1995. It has never been used. It is awesome looking. So go over there and check that out. Please make sure you go over and give Mr. Lyle and Mark a look-see on Panfish Nation. They should be getting ready to start up. They might be waiting on me, but they probably aren't. But that's okay. But Clint, I appreciate having you on, man. That was a good talk tonight.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Really appreciate it.
At least now I know where to go get the information for all of my camera equipment, because Papa Ed is disappointed in the Chad looking like garbage tonight. So we need to get that fixed. And maybe I'll hit you up for some pointers. So
no problem.
I do appreciate having you on tonight. It was a great show. We will see you guys next Thursday night. We might even see you before then. Just you never know. We might go live one of these days. Good job, Clint. Chad, not so much. I'm gonna end this show the same way. Oh, hide that. The same way I started the show. We're gonna put him in timeout. All right. See you guys next week. Love y'all. Appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
Let me figure out where my mouse just went. Good night.